How does Schleiermacher's hermeneutics differ from other approaches? If you're curious about how Friedrich Schleiermacher's hermeneutics stands out from other methods of interpretation, you're in the right place. Let's break down the key differences that make his approach unique. Schleiermacher's hermeneutics is often described as the art of understanding written discourse, particularly in a way that combines several distinct elements. One of the core principles is the idea of the hermeneutical circle. This concept suggests that understanding is not a linear process but rather a circular one, where our initial understanding is refined through repeated interpretations and considerations of the text's various parts and the whole. A significant aspect of Schleiermacher's hermeneutics is the distinction between grammatical and psychological interpretations. The grammatical side focuses on the general structure of the language and how it contributes to the meaning of the text. On the other hand, the psychological side delves into the individual author's mind and the cultural conditions that influence the text. This dual approach ensures that both the language itself and the author's intent are considered. Unlike some other hermeneutic approaches, Schleiermacher emphasizes the importance of language in thought. He believes that thought is essentially dependent on and bounded by language. This means that understanding a text requires grasping not just the words but also the linguistic and cultural context in which they were written. Schleiermacher also introduces the concept of objective and subjective reconstruction. To interpret a text accurately, one must place themselves in the author's position through objective historical reconstruction, which looks at how the text relates to the language as a whole, and subjective historical reconstruction, which examines the text as a product of the author's mind. Additionally, he suggests using objective and subjective divinatory reconstruction to understand how the text contributes to the development of language and how the process of composition affects the speaker. Another key difference is Schleiermacher's approach to misunderstanding. He acknowledges that misunderstanding is a natural part of the interpretive process and suggests that it can be either qualitative or quantitative. Qualitative misunderstandings involve mistaking the meanings of expressions, while quantitative misunderstandings involve taking parts of the text out of context. He advocates for progressing from these misunderstandings to a precise understanding by carefully analyzing the text and its context. In contrast to more literal or rigid approaches to interpretation, Schleiermacher argues against the idea that scripture or any text should always be interpreted literally if possible. Instead, he suggests that the level of reading should be determined by the context of the text, allowing for figurative interpretations when necessary. Overall, Schleiermacher's hermeneutics is distinguished by its comprehensive and nuanced approach to understanding texts, emphasizing the interplay between language, authorial intent, and cultural context. This method provides a robust framework for interpreting texts in a way that respects both the general structure of language and the individual author's perspective.